Yes, shall we start? Shall we start? I see it's already 22 minutes past 2. Yes, good afternoon, guys. How's the energy in the room? Is it still energetic? Yeah, I see nodding heads. And otherwise, we try to energize you in the session. I'm Sven Poot. I'm a business development manager of BigMile. Don't worry, I'm not going to be the speaker. But I do have the honor to announce the speaker. This is Martijn Scheffers, Group Project and Sustainability Manager at the Rijke Group, a big international logistics service provider. I won't give him too many compliments, but otherwise he will gloat. Yeah. But still, I've known Martijn and the Rijke as real embracers of BigMile to use BigMile intensively in their business operations, right? And that ranges from commerce to upcoming legal obligations like the CSRD, and about the latter, he will present today. So the CSRD, somebody that is unaware of the CSRD? Perfect. Okay, so that's good to know. So Martijn, take it away, and let's give him a round of applause.
Well, thank you. If that's the beginning, then I'm now going to quit. And I did a flawless presentation. Yes, as Sven already said, my name is Martijn Scheffers. I work at the Rijke Group. For those who don't know the Rijke Group, I will take the first few slides to introduce us, so that you are a little bit aware of the scope of work that we do. The Rijke is a family company, third generation, started in 1945, and evolved from just a carrier into a logistics service provider with a 4PL concept at the moment. I will go into more depth of all the activities in a later phase, because that helps me explain all the different type of CO2 reporting that we have to do. When Sven asked me to do a presentation 2 months ago, I was like, okay, I'm going to tell, but what do you want me to tell? We are a BigMile user, but do you want me to promote BigMile or no? We just want you to tell how you use it and how it helps you. So this presentation will mainly be about the Rijke and our way of working, and BigMile will come in the end. So we are a family-owned company, about 200 million turnover. Within Europe, around 800 employees. Outside Europe, we have a large joint venture in Saudi Arabia and surroundings with 1,200 employees, which is not in this presentation. And our own means within Europe, we have over a little bit around 600 owned trucks and many more subcontracting. We are also a warehousing company, and throughout all Europe. And on my next slide, you will see a little bit more of our footprint where we are. You can see we are in the Netherlands, but we have many locations in France and also in Spain, which has been evolved. We are a large company in the chemical industry. And you can see around all big harbors in Europe, Rotterdam, Antwerp, Le Havre, and Barcelona, we have started our offices, and that's the reason why we are where we are today. For today, we will focus mainly on the Netherlands. Why? That is where we started with the CO2 measurement and with the sustainability strategy, and we will roll that out down to France and Spain afterwards. But that's the phase where we currently are. So, CSRD and certifications. Why did we start this, and why as the Rijke am I now sustainability manager? What was the start of that? First thing, of course, was the legislation. I mean, we have to report in 2026 over 2025 our sustainability report. But in order to be able to do a sustainability report, we have to gather a lot of data, and that process takes a long time. I'm not here to tell you anything else about the CSRD, but it's a lot of work, and I will give you our approach, and I will also tell you what steps we have taken, and I hope that if anyone has any questions, then please feel free to do so later on. But the second one, and that's the most important, of course, is our customers requested more and more and more certifications, such as EcoVadis, what is mainly a sustainability assessment, and they wanted to rate us as a supplier on our sustainability efforts. Also SQAS, I'm not sure, does everybody know what SQAS is? No worries. It's something really in the chemical industry, but it's a quality assessment, a safety quality assessment based on the chemical industry, on how to act safely and how to achieve a high quality. But now also more sustainability. And they added a whole chapter, I made it blue on the slides, about how to measure your CO2, scope 1 emissions, 2, 3, how to do intensity factors, etc. Well, the first time we saw that, we were shocked. And we had to set up a whole system. Well, how to deal with these kinds of challenges. Maybe that's a pessimistic approach. How to deal with these opportunities would be an optimistic approach. But yeah, those were the questions that came to me and that they were asking, how, Martijn, please give us advice on what to do. First thing to tackle, CSRD. We have done a few steps now, but our approach is not simple, but has contained 5 steps. The first step is do your materiality and assessment. And I can only say, please start, because it's a lot of work. The second step is, once you have done that materiality assessment, how to incorporate that in your business model and strategy. I mean, you can say that you are gonna reduce CO2 within an X percentage, or you can make some claims, but how are you gonna factually underline those topics? And that can only be done once it is incorporated in your strategy and also in your model. Third step, how can you safeguard the ESG elements in your organizations? Well, for the multimodal companies, that might be a little bit easier. They have a large SSAQ department. They just hire 1 or 2 people extra and they can extend that. But for the medium-sized companies or small companies, that will be a big issue. For us as the Rijke, we clearly had our quality department, but the environmental aspect, the sustainability requirements that came along with it, those were very, very challenging, and how to create an environment that we can actually measure that from the start, and how to safeguard that. And the next 2 steps are clear: how to implement, but also how to measure, and how to report, and then the circle kind of starts again. Question for you all. Who has done a materiality analysis themselves? 1, 2. Okay, 2 companies. Does anyone, I hope we know what it is, but does everybody know what a materiality analysis is? I see nodding, but not hands. Can we raise hands if you know what it is? That's more satisfying. You have to do a double materiality analysis on your own company. So what is impact, in this case, on our business, the Rijke, but what impact does the Rijke also have on their environment and their stakeholders outside of the company? So from a financial perspective, you always only have to look at your own performance, but now you also have to take in consideration the performance, the environment, or you have as a company on the environment, so inside out versus outside in. If you haven't done it yet, to start, you have to find all relevant topics for your business. These are some examples for us that we have started with to identify all material topics that could potentially be relevant for your company. The first tip that I can give, please don't do it alone and don't do it with 1 department within your organization, because all the extra. Now, let's give another example. For example, this started with us from our CFO, the financial department, because the topic is mainly laying at the accounting department. However, the accounting department is further away from the business and the requirements that come along with it than if you, for example, take a driver or someone in the warehouse. So try to establish a team that is giving a representative amount for your company, so that you have all the elements in the room when you start this discussion. That's something that we have learned along the way. this is just an example of how all the elements that we have watched. So yeah, you have some internal documents. Clearly, what you already find important, you have to also take in this materiality analysis. The SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals from the EU. What can your company do to, how to say, positively impact the world and make it a bit of a better place? What standards are already available? What do your peers do? What do your competitors do? What do they find important? You don't have to do it all by yourself. What trends are there in the sector? What does the media say? For example, if NGOs already, for Shell, there is a lot of attention in the media. All those topics are relevant to them because they have to answer that, or they at least have to take that in consideration. And lastly, maybe the most importantly, what do your customers require from you? Once you have a long list of material topics, you have to find definitions, you have to make categories. Some topics might be able to merge them into one section. Then you can prioritize them. At the Rijke, we did that with a team. We all rated the topic from a scale from 1 to 5, and all topics that were above 3 were material and came on the short list. That's just an example. After that, you have to check with your stakeholders. You have to do customer interviews, you have to do stakeholder interviews, maybe send out some questionnaires, etc., etc. When you finally have done that, for us the process took 3-4 months, you have your materiality metrics. And how does it look like? This is the example for the Rijke. This is our first draft. And yeah, we tried to actually only get 10 topics. It was very challenging, and we ended with 20. But what was really important to us is that it had very many topics regarding environment. And those topics were all new. What to think about it, how to make your strategy, how to measure them, and how to set those objective goals. I see many people watching, so I don't want to click it yet, but these slides will be publicly available later. But you have to do it for your own company, so please don't just copy. Yeah, you are allowed to copy paste it, but if it's not relevant to your company, then it doesn't have any value. But also, when your accountant will come to control you, they will verify this analysis. So you need to back it up. Environment, materiality analysis, ESG, environment, social, and government topics. I will now only focus on the environment topics. So the first things that we finally put it in, we pressed all the topics in, I'm not sure what the English word actually is, in the trechter. No, that is not going to... A funnel. Okay, perfect. And from those topics, when we finally had the 6 relevant remaining, we tried to formulate a strategy, some goals, and some KPIs that we were able to measure. But then you have a lot of questions. What data to collect? How to process it? And at last, as a logistic service provider, how can we advise our customers? Yeah. That was the start of it. The conclusion is, if we prepare for our CSRD, we are long ready for the certification demands that we have to provide. So if you look at EcoVadis and SQAS, once we have this finalized, we also ready for a decent, or at least we have to prove that still, but a good score on SQAS and EcoVadis. So the customer requirements are covered within the CSRD. The first step that we took was how to collect data. Now I'm going to make the BigMile introduction. As a transport company, we are good in moving goods from A to B. We can be efficient in it, but in order to calculate and do it per shipment, CO2 analysis, and then to advise our customers, that's not our core product. So the first step that the first conclusion that we draw was, we don't want to do this alone. We don't want to do it ourselves, and we want to look for a partner. And via actually the Lean and Green program, we ended up with BigMile. We also spoke with many others at the time. But BigMile offered us a complete solution with some, for us, good graphical solutions that we can actually show to our customers and hopefully positively influence them to then, based on the data, want to work with us to reduce the CO2. But the first step is to make the insights available. We always talk about cost, we always talk about lead time, and we always talk about reliability. And now we can also talk about sustainability. So all management meetings will take longer. But jokes aside, it is a really great tool for us to make it factual discussion instead of just gut feeling. We have to do it via HVO or other renewable diesels because that's better for the environment. Numbers don't lie, and if we can provide them with the numbers, that's actually the best selling point that we could reach. So that's why we actually went into we took BigMile as a corporation. So how to implement that within the Rijke? Therefore, I have to tell you a little bit more about the Rijke. We have four types of business units in the Netherlands. We have the Rijke Transport. We have our own trucks. Maybe some of you who live in the Rotterdam area or a little bit further, they are familiar with the trucks. But measuring the CO2 from our own trucks should be easy. We have all the data in-house. We know from the board computer from where to where they have driven and what type of empty miles they have, you would think. Then the continental business is our business that goes from UK to the Benelux and a bit of Western Germany. But there we have our own toutliners and our own reefers. You can see that here, but mainly driven by subcontractors or other carriers. And they go unaccompanied to the other side. So we bring them to, in this example, Stenenlijn. They bring our reefers and toutliners to the other side, and there somebody else picks them up and delivers them to the customer, refills it, brings it back, and so on and so on. So you already have three variables in that process. Subcontractor in the Netherlands, ferry, subcontractor in the UK. How can you combine all the data and then give the customer one CO2 amount for example, an LTL shipment? The Rijke Logistics is a 3-4PL, so you already go a step down in data information. They send the order to one of our subcontractors. We only know it goes from A to B, but whether it goes via trail or train, or we don't know. Sometimes we do know, but we don't have it in the system. And lastly, the awkward one, the Rijke warehousing. So we also need to measure the CO2 that comes along with the warehousing business that we have. In the warehouses, we also have a drum filling line. It's very energy intensive, but we have to measure that and we have to allocate that to the customers. All those four elements. Okay, where to start? That was actually the challenge that we started with. So we now know what data to collect, what type of information is available. Kind of knew who would be the owner in order to get that data information. And now, there's something maybe Sven can explain it a bit better than me. But we had to pick a framework, an emission framework, and we have decided to use GLEC. But there are more available, so I can take a drink and Sven can explain.
Yeah, to elaborate a little bit on the GLEC framework. So, worldwide, that is the most known framework, to be fair. GLEC stands for Global Logistics Emission Council. That is a method, but also a database of when you don't have any fuel data, then the GLEC gives emission intensity figures, for instance, per type of truck or per type of vessel. But if you do have any fuel consumption data, then it gives back intensity figures per liter of diesel or liter of HCO. And like I said, GLEC worldwide most renowned. So that's why, whenever you are an international company, you should really follow this framework in order to calculate and allocate the emissions. And out of the GLEC is also the ISO 14083, in order to compare apples with apples throughout the whole world. Give it back to you.
Yeah. So first step was, okay, we need all that information, but let's first get all the shipments in the system. And after that, we will try to improve our quality. We had to start somewhere. So the first step we took was everything was in the system. All shipments from A to B were in the systems. And we used the GLEC framework to provide a CO2 calculation to the shipments. Maybe it sounds a little bit awkward, but it is actually very simple. There was actually very easy to have BigMile as a partner because they could help us identify the correct CPIs. I'm not sure who just followed the top sector logistics summit in the first section, but they tried to explain it a little bit. But how to identify the correct one for each type of a truck, a vessel, aircraft, etc. After that, we made a plan on how to improve the data quality. For each business unit, that should be a different program because each business unit should go for the highest possible quality in data that they can possibly have. For the Rijke Transport, we don't have to contact any subcontractors. Yeah, okay, of course, they have some of the business subcontracted, and then it goes via CPA or carrier data. But they can potentially do all by themselves via a data integration transport management system or information in the board computer. For our UK business, we already had many identified carriers, ferries that we had to contact. So we have spoken to them, sort of all. We send out a letter to all subcontractors within the Rijke and asked all carriers, okay, first of all, who do we need to contact once we have questions? Because often you speak with sales contacts, and those sales contacts cannot help you with CO2 data. So that was the first question, and after that we kind of asked, do you already measure CO2? If yes, what system do you use? If yes, can you share directly? If they are also a BigMile user, then they can share it via the platform, which is of course the easiest for me, so preferred option. But if no, then we can have many elements that we can also incorporate within the system. They can share with us their CPI, if they already calculated via another system such as BigMile. They can share with us the real CO2 for the shipment, and then we can use that in our system, and that will override the CPI calculation as made. And actually the response there was 50% of the carriers didn't want to talk about it yet, and 50% of the carriers either had it or wanted to speak about it. And from those 50%, I think 10% had it and 40% mainly wanted to speak about it. But that's the start. We are all in this together, and we need to find solutions on how to achieve real data together and how to constantly improve these data sets. And if we have the data, okay, we can also discuss it. So if we started in 2021 with our first measurement, and we did it all on the bronze quality except for the warehousing because, yeah, we have our energy use and the gas use, and we can just get that from the supplier, so that's the easy data to get. But the Rijke Transport, I said Q1 2024 because it's slightly delayed, but in the next quarter of next year, we should have all data in the system. Everything can be automatically get out of the transport management system in combination with the board computers. We have a monthly fuel via all the tank passes that they have. So we can automatically get all the data during the night in the system, and then via IPA we can get that back in our transport management system, and our customers can have it via either invoice or customer dashboard. For Continental, all ferries are now obliged to report on the ETS. They are all on the ETS 1. So they need to report their yearly emissions to the European Commission. That information is publicly available. So when we were speaking to all the ferries, we could actually get that information and confront them with their performance. Was a very nice discussion, by the way. But the data from the ferries was not in line with what you would expect if you use the GLEC framework. The GLEC framework was actually way too optimistic. So now we have to sort of think what to do next to our to advise our customers, because I'm not going to share the information here yet, but if you, for example, use ferry A, the CO2 output can be 3 times as high if you use another ferry. Yeah, that's something that you really need to consider while picking the solution that you want to have. But also from the carriers, because we have all the route information, so we know that we can actually track the trailer is ours, so we can track the trailer. We also know the empty kilometers that the trailer moved in order to get the next shipment from the other customer. So we have all the data that is in line with the kilometers or the miles that they have traveled. So we can just ask the carriers, how many kilometers can you drive on 1 liter of diesel? And BigMile actually helps us to use that information to already give a better outcome, and silver outcome in this case, with the data. So we have half of all carriers already at silver data, a big improvement. For logistics, we now at 8%, because there we can only use CPIs or real CO2 emissions. So that's a little bit harder for the carriers to provide to us in that case. And for warehousing, we're now still at silver. Not likely that we want to go gold soon yet, because the time that we want to spend on it goes in the first 3 sections first. So going back to the CSRD, we also need to identify what is in what scope, and if you want to make a strategy or you want to set some goals or targets, then you need to actually find out where is my main CO2 footprint. And if I'm, for example, as the Rijke, we have set a goal of 30% reduction in 2030. If we want to reach that, where should we invest, and where should we, where can we make the most impact? And when I started this, I would actually have expected to be our scope 1 way bigger. But with our own trucks, we mainly do short distances. So if you take a look at the freight forwarding department, who coordinates all sea freight or air freight, has a way larger chunk in the scope 3 emissions than we have in our scope 1. So if in my sustainability strategy, I would only focus on my own activities, and I would say I have a 30% reduction goal, then I would have a problem, because I could never reach that. Of course, that's too easy of a conclusion, but it's really good to look at the total numbers, and after you have done that, to then make your sustainability strategy and formalize your goals. And I think the most important one, what you can measure, you can make a discussion. Once you have the numbers, once you have the data available, it's undeniable, and you have to talk about it. So make it available, and then the board or external stakeholders will have to take it into consideration. It's actually as simple as that. So what slide do we now always take with us in all our customer meetings? It's actually this one, because it's a very nice overview on what to do. Where can we easily start together? Within BigMile, we have a baseline. So when I go to one of my customers alongside with the account management, then I always make a tab in BigMile that I can just show the customers, okay, for 2021 or 2022, these were all the shipments, and this is the CO2 that comes along with it. There are many things that we can do. We can improve data. Maybe we, as a 4PL, maybe we together should reconsider the subcontractors that we use. Or we can, we can do many things. But most importantly, what is your target? Do you already want to achieve a reduction in your CO2, or is that not on the table yet? So the first discussion is the facts and the targets of the customer. And once we have established that, then we can check, okay, what can we do? The easiest one, and I always tell this short-term, mid-term, long-term. The first step is maybe we can do some easy steps as model shift. yeah, the reliability is a bit lower, maybe the lead time goes a bit longer, but it's an easy step to already have an impact on your CO2 without having large investments. The second step is alternative fuels, renewable diesel, HVO, whatever you want to call it, maybe LNG. Those are options without investment in equipment that we can. Okay, LNG is still an equipment, but for HVO and renewable diesel, it's easy to do it in the existing equipment and already have an impact. But yeah, then you have a cost element that will add to the logistics cost of the company. And last, and that's mainly what they talk about today and at the start, is the electrification or hydrogen trucks in order to have zero emission. But yeah, that's something that is still in a startup phase. I think what was the name again from the company? Einride. They had a great presentation this morning. But if you look at the number of trucks that has a license plate in the Netherlands, I think we only have 400 at the moment. So yes, it is a solution, but it's not available at short term at such a scale that you can do all the shipments via zero emission at this moment yet. So that's something that you really have to do on a dedicated basis. And in a cooperation, have to decide, okay, we're going to go for this and we're going to make a long-term investment. Last, I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar with it, but you can offset the emissions as well. That's when you come at home and you have a package of DHL or PostNL or whatever, then there's a large statement at the bottom of this is being sent to you CO2 neutral. Well, it's not all neutral yet, but they buy off the last part of the CO2, and then they can make that statement. For our customer in the chemical industry, that's not an option yet because we have too many CO2 to buy off. I think it's per ton 100 euros or 85 euros, something like that.
Do you plan to do offsetting, Martijn? Or?
Absolutely, but first insetting and then offsetting. That should be the sequence, in my opinion.
That was what I was hoping for as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is easy to talk about. We can measure all the CO2 in a scope 3. We can provide you with uniform standards in order to compare apples and apples from all the subcontractors. We then can, via BigMile, identify areas in order to improve, to have the most impact. And lastly, we can give you a KPI, because all companies love KPIs, to monitor the reduction and see whether you're on track or you have to scale up. But how to do that? I brought two examples, one for the model shift and one for the alternative fuels. This is an example from a customer that we always did a road transport from Italy to in this case, Rotterdam, to our warehouse. And the customer always wanted the highest reliability, so they always picked a road solution. Perfect. It was somewhere from northern Italy. Shipments always full truckloads. But yeah, we told them it's maybe not, especially last 2 months, but it's a bit less reliable to go via train, but you are filling your stock. It's not like if it comes late 2 days that there is a factory going down or there is any real emergency. So can we please check if we can bring it via train? So we made in BigMile an analysis, and this is all based on the GLAC framework. If we go via road, we have 2.3 tons CO2. But if we go via rail, and then we put it somewhere in the rail across Milan, bring it to Rotterdam, and then last miles also via truck, we can already achieve a 60% reduction in CO2. Will it cost a bit of extra money? Maybe, but it is not that impactful to already achieve a 60% reduction. So there are easy steps to take in order to just reduce your CO2. The most impact was that the lead time would be 1 day longer. Especially if it's stock fill, and it will also reduce their warehousing cost. Then alternative fuels. That's a little bit more because you always talk about cost impact, because all alternative fuels are more expensive in one or the other way. But we made a calculation based on LNG. For a customer, we do 270 shipments a year to France. We have a subcontractor that has LNG trucks, and they requested us, can we do that via LNG? So we used the BigMile program. I know that BigMile is now released a new version. These are still the old pictures, but yeah, yesterday they sent me the new code, so it's their own fault that I still use the old format. But yeah, the easy example for the 270 LTL shipments, you can see that in the total tons that we have transported. If we would do that in the LNG format, then we could already achieve a 32% reduction, and the cost increase was minimal. If we do it via HVO, it would be more. But those are just examples of how to make that a concrete discussion with a customer and how to put this on the table, based on facts and on impact. And it's now helpful for us to make the discussion an open one. Lessons learned, takeaways. The first one, I think everybody says it, but I only can say it is true. Start. Because at this moment, everything that I thought it would take a month takes at least 3 or 4 times as long as I thought it would be. So for example, the materiality analysis, we had an external partner. We thought it would take 2 months, and after 4 months, we were only done with the first stage. So it already took twice the time. When you want to implement a tool as BigMile, they sold it to me as easygoing. I thought it would take me a month to put all the data in. After a year, I'm still busy implementing the Rijke Transport, but we're now finally almost done. So yes, it's a great tool, but you still have to do it yourself to put the data in. And I think that's only a good sign, because then you're busy with your own business and you should be the one that knows what you bring from A to B and what type of products there are. The second one, once you have it done, when you have started, it will get easier. 1 year ago, we had no idea how to start this. And at this moment, we can already discuss it with customers and we are confident that we can do it. It really gets easier once you have it going. Engage your colleagues. You can't do it alone. It is a company thing that you have to roll out. And if you don't do it with your colleagues, it will never get carried by the others. Account management has to bring this on the table with all the customers that we have. Our procurement department will need to engage with all subcontractors in order to improve the data quality. So everybody has to be along in order to make it a success. The fourth one, find good partnerships. Every time when a new topic was on the table, and for example, for CSRD, we have to measure our waste management or our waste. Well, we don't have many waste, but we still have to do so. But how can I translate a kilo waste to CO2? I've been busy for 2 months to find the data source in order how to do so. And I just asked the partner, and they said, oh, you only have to look there, and there's the source. It's just a random example, but once you have gathered some good partnerships, and BigMile has been really helpful to me, and it's not a sales pitch, I'm not getting discount, but that partnerships really help you to go through this stage. And find those around you, whatever decision you make or whatever partnerships you will disclose, but they are really important, and it will help you to get this going. And last, don't be afraid to start the topic. At the beginning, and I think everybody that has to start it, most of the people here didn't do a materiality analysis yet, but don't be afraid to discuss it, because once you just admit that you find it a hard topic, or you speak to it with a customer about it, they're always willing to help you. So don't be afraid in order to make this topic one on the table. So now I can finally stop talking. Is there any questions? So any questions left? Yeah, I got a request to give everybody the microphone.
Exactly.
Because we still have people at home and else they can't hear.
Hello, my name is Marcel Michon. I'm working at Buck Consultants, and I'm also a Connect member. I have a question. Do you think there's a direct relationship between carbon footprint figures and efficiency figures with your clients? Because if there is, there's another reason to go into this measurements and improvement measurements.
CO2... in order to get your accurate CO2 measurement, you have to go deep dive into your data. And I think in order to get more efficient, you will need to get all the data and find your weak spot. So yes, it will definitely force you to get more data and get more efficiency opportunities. It's still up to you to do so, but it will give you more insights in your own operations and therefore give you more opportunities to get more efficient. That's absolutely what I believe, yeah.
Another question? See there. I need to run a little bit because we're also running out of time.
Sorry.
Hi, my name is Yin from Organization X. I'm a business consultant.
Yeah.
You showed us 2 examples of analysis that you did for your clients.
Yeah.
How long did those analysis take you? Was it push of a button or was it...
Those 2 are push of a button, yeah.
Okay.
There's also a functionality, and I couldn't show everything because I only had 45 minutes, which was already challenging. Within the BigMile, there is an option for fuel shift. So with the data I already put in and I already use to inform my customers about their CO2, there is an easy option to just select some parts of it and select another fuel type, and then it will give me an estimation of the reduction potential. So that's already in there. If I really want to make a different routing, then I need to make a new sheet, and it will take me 15 minutes.
Okay, so it makes it very easy to try out different options, etc.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In the beginning, it took me a little bit longer, but for now, it's 15 minutes. Yeah.
Other questions? Oh, nice.
I will go.
No. Right.
Philip Harder of GS1 Austria. You mentioned that customers inquired about reducing the CO2 footprint of certain shipments. In how far have those requests now become routine or part of the operations for your sales team? Like, how many such requests do you get?
In reality, that's not much yet. The customers that first started with us requesting the certifications, those are the customers that also come with those requests. But making it a discussion topic with just the regular sales meeting gives us also the opportunity to make it a request. Because when we show them the figures, they automatically get interested. It's something that we provide as a service to our customers. And if you put it on the table, I think that was also the statement I said, if you put it on the table with your customer, they automatically want to know more. So it opens a window for other discussions than price. Okay. Any other questions? Oh, same question, yeah? Okay, cool. In that case, if there are no questions, feel free to discuss with the coffee, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you, Martijn, for sharing some insights on the journey, not only on the use of BigMile, but really on the CSRD. It's you often regard it as like the sword of Damocles that is hanging above our heads, but it's not really like that, right? So you basically embrace it and really use it in commercial conversations as well. I wanted to thank you for your time, and want to give you one last applause for this.
Thank you.